From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. This is Dateline Malacañang. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Monday led the distribution of certificates of condonation with release of mortgage or COCROM to 3,500 agrarian reform beneficiaries or ARBs held at the Eduardo Cuanco Gymnasium, Paniqui, Tarlac Province. According to Department of Agrarian Reform or DAR Secretary Conrado Estrella III, a total of 124 million pesos worth of farmer debt will be paid by the national government. A total of 4,663 COCROMs will be distributed to the 3,500 ARBs. This covers over 4,132 hectares of agricultural land in accordance to the provisions of Republic Act or RA 11953 or the New Agrarian Emancipation Act or NAEA. This is the third time the President distributed COCROMs in Central Luzon following the distribution in the provinces of Nueva Ecija and Bulacan. Let us listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. during the event.
Nagpapasalamat po ako sa inyong pagdalo dito sa ating pagtitipon sa kabila ng medyo masama na panahon. Hindi ako nagulat na nandito pa rin kayo dahil ganito naman talaga tayong mga Pilipino. Hindi basta-bastang napapatinag. Kailangan lang na magdoble ingat dahil sa ulan. Madulas ang kalsada, malakas ang hangin dulot ng bagyong Hulyan. Bagamat may bagyo, ako po ay masaya sa araw na ito sapagkat kasama natin ang mga nagpapaunlad sa sektor ng agrikultura sa ating bansa, ang ating mga magsasaka at agrarian reform beneficiaries. Tanggapin po ninyo ang aming pasasalamat sa mahalagang papel na ginagampanan ninyo araw-araw para masiguro na ang bawat Pilipino ay may sapat na pagkain. Alam namin na bago ninyo maani ang inyong mga pananim, kinakailangan ninyo ng lupang matataniman. Noong pagkaloob na sa inyo ang mga lupang sakahan sa ilalim ng reformang pang-agraryo, ang naging pangamba ninyo naman ay ang pambayad sa lupang ipinagkakaloob. Kaya ngayong araw, sa bisa ng Republic Act 11953 o ang tinatawag na New Agrarian Reform Emancipation Act na nilagdaan ng inyong abang lingkod noong nakarang taon, burado na po ang inyong pagkakautang. Narito po kami ngayon kasama ang mga opisyal mula sa Department of Agrarian Reform at mga iba't ibang mga opisyal, mga Register of Deeds, pati yung Land Bank ay kasama dito sa programang ito. At nandito po kami upang ipagkaloob ang mga Certificate of Condonation and Release of Mortgage o tinatawag natin na COCROM. Sinasagot at inaalis na ng gobyerno ang malaking pasanin na dala ng mga utang na naging kakambal ng inyong mga lupang sakahan. Ang inyong mga amortisasyon, interest at iba pang surcharge, lahat po burado na. Para po sa mga taga-Tarlac, higit sa 4,600 COCROM ang ipapamahagi natin sa 3,500 na agrarian reform beneficiary. Ito ay katumbas ng higit sa 124 na bilyong pisong halaga na amortisasyon na buburahin na natin. Katulad po ni Ginoong Mario Velasco na mula sa Bantog, Karikutan, Lapas at isa sa mga benepisyaryo ng programang ito. Ayon po sa kanya, siya po ay ilang dekada nang nagsasaka, nadala ang hamon ng araw-araw na pangangailangan at ang mga iba't ibang gastusin. Sa haba rin ng panahon na siya ay nagtatanim, ang pinakamabigat na pasanin ay ang utang na tila ay tanikala sa lupang sinasaka. Sa pamamagitan po ng programang ito, hindi na kailangan pang alalahanin ang amortisasyon. Ang pera na nakalaan sana rito ay maaari na ninyong pong gamitin sa pang-araw-araw at ibang pangangailangan sa inyong pagsasaka. Wala na po kayong alalahanin, maging ang mga susunod pang magmamana ng lupang inyong sinasaka. Ngayon po ay may panibagong pagkakataon na kayo upang maunlad ang inyong mga kabuhayan at ang inyong mga pamilya. Naunawaan po ng pamahalaan ang karanasan ni Mario at ng iba pa nating mga magsasaka, kaya batid ng pamahalaan ang halaga ng programang ito upang mabawasan ang gastusin at lalong makatulong pa sa ating mga agrarian reform beneficiaries. At sa amin din naman, ni Secretary Conrad Estrella, hindi po ito ordinaryong programa ng pamahalaan. Sa katunayan po, ito po ay sinimulan ng aking ama, si former President Ferdinand Marcos Sr., at ang lolo naman ni Secretary Estrella na si Secretary Conrado F. Estrella Sr. Kaya naman, nung ako ay binigyan ninyo ng pagkakataon na maging Pangulo, hindi ako nagdadalawang isip. Tinawag ko kaagad si Secretary Conrad. Unang-una, linagay ko siya kaagad bilang Agrarian Reform Secretary. Dahil alam ko, kabisado niya, alam niya yung trabaho na yan. Dahil bata pa kami, wala pa kaming hawak na posisyon, ay pinag-uusapan na niya, pinag-aaralan na niya dahil nga sa lolo niya, ang lolo niya nagpalaki sa kanya. Ay ganun din sa akin. Kaya kaagad, tinawag ko siya at sinabi ko, ituloy na natin ang nasimula ng ating mga ninuno. Para po sa inyo, ang araw na ito, para po sa inyo, mga minamahal naming benepisyaryong magsasaka. May isa lamang akong hiling sa inyo. Kaakibat ng mga biyayang ito ay ang responsibilidad na pagyamanin pa ang ating mga lupa. Hindi lamang sa ikauunlad ninyo, kung hindi para sa buong Pilipinas. Hindi dito po magtatapos ang ating pagsusubok. Ngunit ang araw na ito ay magsisilbi sana ng paalala na ang pamahalaan ay handang tumulong sa inyo. Nandito kami at patuloy na nakikinig sa inyong mga pangangailangan upang magkaroon kayo ng mas maginhawa at mas matatag na kinabukasan. Higit pa nating pagtutulungan ang pagunlad ng sektor ng agrikultura dahil malaki ang paniniwala kung mas marami pa tayong kaya at dapat gawin. Muli, mag-ingat po tayong lahat. Ating pong ipatuloy ang binabantayan na bagyong Hulyan at handang magbigay ang pamahalaan ng tulong sa ating mga kababayang nangangailangan.
You just heard Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Hurricane Helene made landfall Thursday evening in northwestern Florida as a Category 4 storm with winds reaching as high as 225 kilometers per hour. At least 100 people were reported to have died in the calamity, leaving more than 2 million homes without power. The hurricane hit Florida's Big Bend before moving north through Georgia, Tennessee, and the Carolinas. In an interview over Ang Pilipinas Ngayon, Philippine Honorary Consul to Florida, Cheryl Noblejas, said no Filipinos were reported to have died from the storm. let us listen to the interview of Philippine Honorary Consul to Florida, Cheryl Noblejas, along with Mr. Ray Sampang.
Good day. Good day. This is the program Ang Pilipinas Ngayon. This is a special portion of our program for today's edition of Ang Pilipinas Ngayon. Special because we're going to get in touch live and direct from our Philippine consulate in Florida, United States of America. This is in regards to the Hurricane Helene, Category 4. Imagine that, Category 4. And I think for so many years, this is in the past, 40, 10, 20 years that Florida has suffered this kind of hurricane, Category 4. So we're going to Florida. Of course, on the other line, we have our Consul Cheryl Noblejas. He is our honorary consulate in Florida, US of A. Good day, Consul Noblejas, and welcome to the program.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, good morning. And as we speak, what time is it right now in Florida?
It is 10:03 p.m.
Okay, it's we have a 12-hour difference between the Philippines and, of course, Florida, US of A. We called the consul. We would like to get in touch, and we would like to know how are our Filipinos living and working, our immigrants, or probably U.S. citizens, Filipinos that became U.S. citizens there already. How are they doing? How are they coping after this Category 4 Hurricane Helene?
A lot of them, there's still about some Filipinos that don't have power in Tampa. And in Tallahassee. They just had their power restored just today. But there was a lot of wind, lots of rain, and flooding. They experienced a lot of flooding, a lot of downed trees. So what I've been told is there are some Filipinos in Tampa that do need assistance from the embassy.
All right. How many Filipinos are seeking assistance in our consulate right now?
At this time, I just received word from Tampa that they do need some assistance. They didn't tell me about how many assistance at this time, but I will get word from them very soon.
All right. So when Hurricane Helene struck Florida, what part of Florida did it devastate it? I think one is in Tallahassee and the other is in Tampa.
Yes. So the hurricane kind of went up the coast of Tampa on the Gulf Coast and brought a lot of wind and flooding. It was the east part of the hurricane, the outer bands. When the hurricane made land, it was in a town called Perry, Florida, and it went right in between Perry and Tallahassee. So went up through like Madison, Florida, right up to Valdosta, Georgia, and then kept going up. But because of the size, it's one of the largest hurricanes that we've had, to hit the state of Florida in a very long time, and it brought catastrophic damage. I think the death toll now of the hurricane in Florida, Georgia, North Carolina is over 100 deaths.
Wow. All right. But as of now, as we speak, there are no reported casualties on our overseas Filipinos or Filipinos working and living in Florida.
No, not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay. Let me just just to put it in context, Consul Noblejas, how many Filipinos working and living in Florida, based on your data, how many Filipinos are there living and working there?
We have about 175,000 Filipinos in Florida.
175,000 Filipinos in Florida. And where this 175,000 Filipinos, where are they generally located?
The largest population of Filipinos is in Jacksonville, Florida, 35,000 in Jacksonville. The next concentrated amount would be in Tampa, and then Orlando and Miami, so the large major cities.
All right. At this point in time, is the Philippine government, through the Department of Foreign Affairs, trying to establish communication with you at our Philippine consulate there? Are they asking you for any assistance that they may offer?
Yes, they are. They're asking me to collect names, and they've actually been contacting me throughout the duration of the storm to see how things are going and if anyone needs assistance. So from the embassy, they started reaching out to me the day before the hurricane hit to see what if anything was needed. And we were still preparing, for the storm, knowing that it's going to be, a very big storm. It went from a Category 1 to a Category 4 in 12 hours. Very fast.
Can you describe it to us, Consul Noblejas? How did you experience that Category 4 hurricane?
My in-laws lived right near where it hit initially, and they said the winds were of over 100 miles per hour. Many people that lived on the coast had to evacuate their houses because their houses could not withstand the winds. So luckily, my family, my in-laws have a concrete house with brick around it, so they were very safe. Though some of my other family just hunkered down, made sure they had a lot of water and made sure they were out of the path of, where there would be potential flooding. For me, I'm in Jacksonville. We felt the outer bands, and it was still 60 and 70 miles per hour over here. So that gives you the size of the hurricane. It essentially covered the state of Florida.
Wow. So right now, as we speak, are there any problems when it comes to electricity and water supply?
No problems with water supply, but there's still 144,000 Floridians that do not have power. But they were able to restore over 2 million Floridians with power. But the water, from my understanding, is still good.
How about the internet service in those areas that were badly hit? Do they have existing internet services?
Luckily, most of them do.
Oh.
Most of them do. So they're able to communicate, with their phones. And, within the U.S., there's an app where they can mark themselves as safe. So we've been seeing a lot of people marking themselves as safe. So if they're able to do that on their phone, they probably have some internet.
All right. If we could compare it between between the Philippines and the United States, here in the Philippines, every time we experience such strong typhoons, we call it here in the Philippines as typhoons. There in the U.S., we call it hurricanes. The Philippine government, prepositions food packs, something for the inhabitants who are affected, something to eat, like that. Does the federal government of the U.S. or the state of Florida also do the same?
Actually, before the hurricane hit, the President of the United States went ahead and approved funds from what's called FEMA, which is the Florida Disaster Fund. I think it stands for the Federal Emergency Management Agency. So they went ahead and approved funds long before the hurricane hit, knowing it was going to be bad. Within Florida, they have the Florida Disaster Fund, which is the state of Florida's private fund, overseen by volunteers. And they started collecting, asking people for donations for that fund as well. The governor's wife started putting things, asking people to donate money already for that fund, knowing that we're going to have people that will need assistance after this hurricane.
All right. So can we expect Filipinos to benefit from those assistance?
Yes, they need to apply, and I will get the application process. On the I have a consulate Facebook page, and I'll be putting that information on our Facebook page on how to apply.
It's nice that you mentioned that, Consul Noblejas, because a lot of Filipinos living and working in the U.S., particularly in Florida, also have relatives back here in the Philippines. How will they be able, especially those families here in the Philippines, be able to know the situation of their relatives in Florida? How can they get in touch?
They're on my Facebook page, I do have a instant message. They can call me. We do have a consulate phone that they can call and ask if they need assistance, and then we can, or if they know anybody that needs assistance, and then we'll try to find, how their family's doing.
So they will just have to look for your Facebook page.
Right,
Consul.
exactly.
Can we post that in our programs or in our Facebook page? I'm asking for authority to post. Okay.
Yes, no problem.
All right. So the good news is, as we speak right now, there are no reported Filipino casualties. due to this Category 4 hurricane. Although some Filipinos are seeking some assistance through our honorary consulate in Florida, but there are no reported casualties. That's the good news.
That's very good news. Before the hurricane hit, a lot of preparation were in place. There were many shelters that were open the day before that gave everyone an opportunity to go to a shelter if they felt that they needed to evacuate. And, there were evacuation zones where people were told they have to leave or they will die.
Oh,
Because the storm surge went up to 20 feet.
wow, 20
In some
feet.
areas.
Well, speaking of Filipino communities, I know there are a lot of Filipino communities in Florida, especially those ones who are not severely affected by the hurricanes, or other Filipino organized communities outside of Florida. Are they extending their help or asking what can they do to help our fellow Filipinos there in Florida?
I haven't received any word of anyone that's wanting to donate any monies toward any Filipinos in need. But if they want to, they can go ahead and reach out to me, on my page or give me a call.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, but my last question is, I hope you're doing fine. How are you doing after this experience of Category 4 Hurricane Helene?
I'm doing fine. The weather today was beautiful. I actually went to a feast of San Lorenzo Ruiz.
Oh, yeah.
About 700 other Filipinos, and it was a beautiful, beautiful day. So a lot of people had done their cleanup here in Jacksonville. There's a lot of trees that are still down, and but they cleared up a lot of that. So I think we're doing great over here. I'm doing fine. My family's fine.
All right, that's nice to hear. That's nice to hear that you're doing fine and your family is safe. And of course, after this hurricane, it's again the start of a rebuilding process. And the Filipinos are known to be so resilient when it comes to this type of situations. Consul Noblejas. Well, Consul Noblejas, that's all the time we have for now, and we thank you very much for your time. I know it's already late in the evening there in Florida, but still you indulged us in our program. Thank you very much, Consul. But before I go, do you have any more message or announcement or any important information that you want to share with our listeners and viewers?
No, just if you know anyone that is in distress or needs assistance, please reach out to me, and I'll be in contact with the embassy if it's anything that they need to work on together with the consulate, or we can get you some type of assistance. We'll find out how to do that.
And with that, Consul Noblejas, we would also like to extend our helping hand to you, to our honorary consulate there. Of course, if there is some Filipinos who want to get in touch with their families here in the Philippines, just let us know, and we will try our best to contact that relative or someone who they want to talk to, and we will try to establish that communication, of course, through your office as our consul general, our consul there in Florida. Thank you very much, Consul Cheryl Noblejas, for your time. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
That is our consul for our honorary consulate in Florida, United States of America, Consul Cheryl Noblejas.
You just heard the interview of Philippine Honorary Consul to Florida, Cheryl Noblejas, along with Mr. Ray Sampang.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Sunday celebrated the achievements of Filipino students excelling in the field of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or STEM, and vowed that his administration will continue to invest in and support innovation and technology. In his weekly vlog posted on social media, the president expressed pride on Filipino students who bagged awards in international STEM competitions. The chief executive underscored the critical role of STEM education in the modern technological landscape, citing its application to almost every facet of human life. President Marcos vowed that the government will continue STEM education to empower the next generation of innovators, ensuring that the Philippines remains competitive in a rapidly evolving technological landscape. Let us listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Bukod sa ating mga atletang Pilipino, humahataw din sa pandaigdigang entablado ang ating mga estudyante sa larangan ng agham at mathematics. Ito yung tinatawag natin mga STEM subject. STEM dahil Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. Meron tayong mga medalist sa International Astronomy and Astrophysics Olympiad, ginanap naman sa Brazil. Nanalo yung mga estudyante ng Philippine Science High School. International Nuclear Science Olympiad, meron naman tayong ginto. 56 International Chemistry Olympiad na ginawa sa Riyadh. Bronze medal naman tayo. ASEAN +3 Junior Science Odyssey sa Cambodia. Gold, silver, and bronze medal ang ating nakuha. At ang Singapore International Math Olympiad Challenge, kung saan 2 ginto ng mga medalya ang inuwi natin. Mahalaga yan dahil ang STEM subjects ang pinaka-pinagbabasihan ngayon ng lahat ng bagong teknolohiya. Alam naman natin na ang lahat ng buhay natin ay dumadami ang involvement ng mga bagong teknolohiya. Para magamit natin yung mga bagong teknolohiya na yan, kailangan ay sanay na sanay tayo, nakakaunawa tayo sa scientific studies o saka sa mathematics. Para tayo ay makikilahok sa bagong ekonomiya ng buong mundo. Sa isang bagong Pilipinas, patuloy ang pagpapatatag ng pundasyon para sa siyensya at teknolohiya. Patuloy ang inobasyon dahil kaalaman ang ating sandata tungo sa isang maunlad at makabagong Pilipinas.
You just heard Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. over the weekend pledged to continue the legacy of his father and namesake, former President Ferdinand E. Marcos Sr. The President commemorated the 35th death anniversary of his father, whom he said devoted his life to serve the Filipino people. In a Facebook post, the chief executive recalled his promise to honor his father by continuing what he started and did for the Filipinos and the country. President Marcos said that his father lived in service to the country and advocated for development, justice, unity, and nationalism. The Philippine president added that he made a promise 35 years ago to honor his life's work by building on this foundation. Marcos Sr. died in Honolulu, Hawaii on September 28, 1989 at the age of 72. He was the 10th Philippine president who led the country from December 30th, 1956 to February 25th, 1986. In his message for the 107th birth anniversary of his father on September 11th, the president said he is his guiding force and steady voice of reason in fulfilling his role as the country's 17th president.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang over the weekend said that Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has issued proclamations declaring special non-working days in 5 localities across the country in October. The President issued Proclamation number 693 declaring Friday, October 4th, a special non-working day in Infanta, Pangasinan Province for its 148th founding anniversary. Similar declarations were issued by the Chief Executive through Proclamation No. 694 for Lapuyan, Zamboanga del Sur Province for the celebration of its 67th founding anniversary on October 16th and through Proclamation No. 695 for Negros Oriental Province for the celebration of the Buglasan Festival on October 25th. Meanwhile, October 26th is a special non-working day for Angeles City in Pampanga Province for its celebration of the Tigtigan Terakan King Dalan Festival, a commemoration of the city's recovery from the Mount Pinatubo eruption in June of 1991 through Proclamation No. 696. Lastly, President Marcos issued Proclamation No. 697 declaring October 28th a special non-working day in Dingle, Iloilo Province to allow its people to participate in the commemoration of Cry of Lingkud, the first declaration of revolution against Spain in the province and the island of Panay. The holiday declarations were signed by Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news, Philippine Department of Foreign Affairs or DFA Secretary Enrique Manalo called on reforms to multilateralism at the United Nations General Assembly or UNGA in New York that will address world crisis and achieve its goal towards development. In his message, Secretary Manalo repeated his call to world leaders to renew the UN's agenda following the adoption of the Pact for the Future that will focus on issues concerning climate change, war in Ukraine, Gaza, and Sudan, inequality, among others. Manalo emphasized the promise of the Philippines on international law and underscored the importance of UN to promote peace, especially in the Asia-Pacific region, as well as continued the Philippines' stand on the West Philippine Sea, which is in accordance to the UN Charter and the Manila Declaration on the peaceful resolution of disputes on asserting its sovereign rights and jurisdiction in the South China Sea. The Secretary also called on progressive countries to fulfill its climate commitments under the UN Climate Change Convention and Paris Agreement. Besides participating in high-level meetings of UNGA, Secretary Manalo also held several bilateral meetings along with leaders from 46 countries, including Nepal, Estonia, Madagascar, Latvia, Bhutan, Turkmenistan, Nicaragua, and others.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, the Philippines Department of Migrant Workers or DMW over the weekend announced that 15 Filipinos will arrive in the country from Lebanon on October 3rd, the latest batch that availed of the country's repatriation program. DMW Undersecretary Feli Bay said the repatriates were originally scheduled to return on September 26 but were stalled due to the suspension of flights. In a news forum in Quezon City, Bay said the Migrant Workers Office or MWO said that the repatriation will be rescheduled or has been reset for October 2nd. Bay said at least 1,100 Filipinos have signed up for voluntary repatriation as Lebanon has been placed under Alert Level 3 due to the escalating conflict between the Hezbollah militant group and Israel. From October 2023 to September 19 this year, a total of 430 Filipinos have returned home, both residents and workers. According to the latest government data, there are more or less 11,000 Filipinos in Lebanon. Bay urged Filipinos to heed to the call of the government to prioritize their safety. Upon arrival, Bai said the previous repatriates received cash assistance of 75,000 pesos each from the DMW and the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration or OWA. Meanwhile, the Philippine Embassy in Lebanon reminded Filipino nationals to remain vigilant and avoid the southern suburbs of Beirut and any other previously mentioned areas in prior advisories. In a Facebook post, the embassy reiterates the importance of considering departure from the country, especially for undocumented Filipino nationals, as this involves coordinating with Lebanese authorities to secure an exit clearance. It also announced that the one-stop shop event at the Boghosian Theater, Borj Hamoud, on September 29th is postponed until further notice.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, Radyo Pilipinas World Service of the Presidential Broadcast Service is heard over the following shortwave frequencies: 15.640 MHz, 17.820 MHz, and 12.010 MHz. You can also visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel at Radyo Pilipinas World Service. You will be able to hear and view our Filipino and English programs, including news updates here in the Philippines. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our post as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.